sky. The world seemed perfectly still, and rooftops shimmered beneath a blanket of starlight, whilst the city was in gentle dreams. On this night, something extraordinary was stirring. In a tall house nestled in a quiet street in Bloomsbury lived 3 children. Wendy, whose heart was full of stories and dreams. John, clever and curious. And little Michael, whose imagination felt bigger than the room itself. As they lay sleeping, a shadow appeared from the darkness. Stillness shifted as a mysterious figure slipped through the window opening, searching for his missing shadow. Wendy wiped the sleep away from her eyes and stared in awe at the boy standing before her window. Moonlight slipped across the room, catching a wild glint in his eyes and the shadow fluttering just behind him. You're Peter Pan, Peter grinned in response, as though he had been waiting his whole life to hear this spoken aloud. In an instant, the nursery sprang to light. Quick darting flashes, tiny and fierce like sparks from struck steel, whirled around Peter in restless bursts of fairy dust. It was Tinkerbell. Her glow raced across walls and blankets like a secret lit in fire. And before the children could settle their breathing, Peter lifted his hand, ready to make an invitation. Come away with me to Neverland, whispered Peter, holding out his hand. I'll teach you how to jump on the wind's back, and then away we go. Wendy, John and Michael exchanged a breathless glance. Safety was behind them. Starlight glimmered ahead. Should they choose what they knew, or the wild promise of the sky? You just think lovely, wonderful thoughts, exclaimed Peter, and he lifted you up in the air. The children felt the weight of the world lift from their shoulders. Their feet rose from the floor. Their worries drifted away, and soon they were flying through the sky like birds. John gasped, breathless. Are we flying? As Tinkerbell's shimmering trails filled like stardust ahead, stretching their bright path into adventure. Beneath them, London glowed. Up and up they soared into the velvet sky, above the chimneys and clock towers, above the sleeping city, guided by a simple direction that would echo forever. Second to the right, and straight on till morning. The streets below became thin lines of light and shadow, then faded entirely. And then, rising from the horizon like a painted dream, they see it. Neverland. The island appeared before them. Where lagoon and forest, cave and shoreline, danger and delight, all lived pressed together. The children were flying with the aid of Peter's fierce, unshakable belief and the quicksilver shimmer of Tinkerbell's light. Elsewhere, in the underground home beneath the forest trees, the danger seemed far away. The roar of the sea softened, and the echoes of the haunting ship were distant. Peter led Wendy through the tangled wilds of Neverland until they found the lost boys. Here, in a world stitched together by improved rules, fierce affection and fearless bravery, they had built a home of their own. The moment Wendy stepped forward, the boys stared in wonder with hope flickering in their eyes. Wendy greeted the boys with the love and care she knew. Guided by Peter through secret paths woven between ancient trees, Wendy and the lost boys slipped quietly beneath the roots of Neverland. Down into the home under the ground they went. A warm lantern-lit refuge carved from earth and imagination, where the lost boys gathered close around her, as though they had been waiting for this moment all along. In the underground home, stories were traded, tempers softened, and the children breathed as though safety might last. Later, Peter showed Wendy more of the island. They came across the mermaid lagoon. The surface glowed softly, appearing to be inviting and innocent. Drawn by the shimmering moonlight, mysterious-looking mermaids glided beneath the surface, slowly and gracefully. Before Peter could say more, a shadow tore across the sky. A cry echoed over the water. Wendy looked up to the sky in amazement. Above them, it was the Neverland, sweeping across the sky with fierce urgency, its wing line clear in flight, a wild island presence never tame nor decorative, but alive with instinct and protective force. The Neverland cut through the air with dominance, watching over her land. Peter took Wendy safely back to the lost boys, before turning and slipping away alone into the distance. Back safe in the underground home, Wendy gathered the lost boys and told stories about the comfort of being cared for. With Peter not present, the children gazed at her and listened to her tales with undivided attention. While warmth filled the underground home, danger gathered just beyond it. But after March, and those who remained began to see the first light of dawn gathering at the edge of sky and sea, its pale glow spreading across the water and bringing a fragile sense of relief after the long night. Peter knows now what must be done. The battle has ended, and the children must be carried home. With Neverland fading behind them, Wendy and the children rose into the sky beside Peter, their feet light with fairy dust as they soared across the sleeping sea towards London. While ahead, the first lights of the waking city began to glow. They flew through the quiet night together, carried by wonder and memory, as the familiar rooftops of London slowly appeared beneath them, and the journey home finally came to view. The next morning, Wendy woke up in the nursery and told her parents about Peter, the pirates, and Neverland. Her voice bright with wonder and certainty that every word was true. She spoke of flying through the moonlit skies, of brave battles and lost boys on the magical island. Her parents listened with gentle smiles and kind patience, treating her tale as a child's dream carried over from the night. Yet Wendy held tightly to the quiet certainty that it truly happened. And somewhere far beyond the clouds, Peter Pan still soars over Neverland with the Lost Boys, chasing new adventures beneath the endless sky, forever young